Okay. Good morning, students. In the previous class, we started looking into the preparation of the project and the ERP. In case of preparation of the project, we looked into meaning of a project and project identification. So, project identification we are going to see today. We also saw the classification of the projects. First is what is a project? There are various definitions given by the different management practitioners. Uh, Overall, what is a project? Overall, what is a project? It is nothing but it you are going to create some kind of a unique product or unique kind of a service. And we also understood from most of the definitions that project will have a definite time period, that where it will start on a particular start date, and there is a definite end date. At the end of the completion of the project, we will come up with a unique project, a unique product or unique service. And also we understood while doing this particular project, there is a budgetary requirement, and this particular activity should be carried out within the estimated budget. So that is the essence of all the different kinds of project. And entrepreneur use these projects to build successful enterprises, right? Projects are the means to convert an idea into an enterprises. And we looked into project classification. Broadly, they are classified as quantifiable, non-quantifiable projects, sectional projects, and techno-economic projects. Quantifiable projects are the one where you can the whatever the outcome of that particular project is, you can put it in terms of the numbers. Let's say like profit or the increase in the market share, things like that. Non-quantifiable projects, you cannot put the outcome in terms of a numbers, right? Mostly it is related to the healthcare, education. Those fields will you will not have a quantifiable project. And what are quantifiable project? Example is like we saw the industrial development, power generation, mineral development, right? In case of a power generation, you know what is the capacity of the power plant, 100 megawatt, 200 megawatt. Okay, it is quantifiable. And sectional projects, I told you, dividing the project sector wise is very very important for the economy. That is how government can regulate these sectors, and also they will understand how India is doing, or the particular country is doing sector wise, right? Some of the sectors, there are many sectors, uh, government of India or any country, uh, according to their policies, they will come up with more sectors, or they will combine certain sectors, or they will segregate the sectors depending upon the requirement. Some of the sectors are agriculture and allied sector, irrigation and power sector, industry and mining, transport and communication sector, information technology sector, miscellaneous. These are the general ones, and you must have heard about the like many other sector, automobile sector, finance sector. So there are many sectors, and it is very useful if government wants to invest in particular sector. Let us say uh, government wants to boost the automobile sector. After the COVID, automobile sector was impacted. So government it came up with some provisions and policies to help that particular sector. So that is how sectors will help directing the government in what kind of actions to be taken, either to improve, or if that particular sector is totally lagging, then come up with a more provisions and policies which will help to improve that sector. Techno-economic projects, this we looked. This techno-economic projects are further classified into factor intensity oriented classification, or causation oriented classification, or magnitude oriented classification. What is factor intensity oriented classification? These projects are based on the whether these projects are capital intensive. So we try to find the intensity, whether these projects are capital intensive or labor intensive. So based on that, the projects are classified. One second. Okay, so either it is a capital intensive or a labor intensive. What is the example of a labor intensive? Any projects in the case of agriculture, like it is a labor intensive. Agriculture, it requires a lot of labor. So any project in that sector is a labor intensive. So you must have seen the farming. A lot of labor requirement will be there, and that labor requirement will be it may not be uniform. In some season it requires more, and some season it requires less, but that sector is a labor intensive. Another example for the labor intensive projects are related to mining, right? If any project related to mining, you would require a lot of labor. Okay, where there is a lack of machinery, you would require the lot of labor. And also, once upon a time, manufacturing, like automobile industry, were labor intensive. Now with the invention of a lot of robotics, a lot of automation, the amount of labor required has been reduced. And which are the capital intensive? Capital intensive are any projects related to aviation, space research, or you can say large scale manufacturing, automobile industry. You would require a large amount of capital. So those particular industries, or those particular projects are capital intensive. They require a lot of capital in order to start, and certain projects, it will require a lot of labor to start such enterprise. If large investment is made in a plant and machinery, the project will be termed as a capital intensive. So as we just explained, whenever there is a large requirement for the capital, whether it is for setting up the plant, or whether it is for the kind of machinery you have, very expensive machinery. So those will be called as those require a large investment. So those are capital intensive projects. On the other hand, projects involving large number of human resources will be termed as labor intensive. Wherever there is a, if you see any project in case of agriculture or mining, the capital requirement is relatively less. The amount of capital to start the work is less, but without labor, we cannot start those. So that's why those are labor intensive. And causation oriented classification. Causation, this is basis, the projects are classified based on the causation. Also, what is the cause? Projects can be classified as demand based or raw material based projects. So the cause for that particular project, okay, that cause is because of the demand that is available, or because of the raw material. For example, in the North Karnataka belt and the South Maharashtra belt, you see a lot of sugar factories. Okay, the reason being the raw material, because they are raw material based. There is a abundant sugar cane grown in this area, and this region is the weather and the soil, it is more suitable for the sugar cane. That is the reason lot of sugar cane is grown. And because that raw material is available for the sugar factories, you can see lot of sugar factories that will come around this region. So that is a raw material based. Normally what happens is, based on the raw material, let us say like certain government agencies, they will be keep on looking for the natural resources. And let us say they find out certain natural resources, let's say iron ore, in certain state or in certain city, so where it is available in abundant. That is the a cause for setting up a steel industry in that area, right? So the raw material will be the cause for creating the industry. Those are called as a raw material based projects, or the raw material based industries. And the next one is the demand based. Based on the kind of the demand, you will set up the kind of a projects. Example being like, if you see like in the agriculture sector, in South India, the consumption of rice is, or the demand for the rice is very high. And in the North India, the demand for the wheat is large. So based on the demand of that particular region, so you see like in South Indian states, a lot of paddy is grown, okay, because there is a lot of rice demand, rice is required. Similarly, on the other hand, you can see on the northern part of India, you will see they grow a lot of wheat, which is in a lot of demand. So whichever is in demand, whatever is there is a high demand, based on that the industry will come up, or based on that projects will come out. So those are called as a causation oriented classification. The availability of certain raw materials, skills, okay. This thing is also, skills is another, it is kind of a it's not a raw material, it is a skill. The best example, like IT, for the IT industry, Bangalore is considered as a hub where the companies are motivated to set up their companies in Bangalore, because there is a abundant skill that is available. So and that industry is particularly based on the skill. So based on the skill, certain skill is available. So that kind of a projects, or that kind of a industry will grow in that particular area. Or other inputs makes the project raw material based. The very existence of the demand for certain goods or services make the project demand based. So if there is a lot of demand for certain thing, then based on that demand, there will be projects that will be set up. Magnitude oriented classification. What is the magnitude? It is based on the size of investment. How much investment has to happen in that particular project. Based on that size, projects are classified. As already you are aware, those are classified as a large scale projects, medium scale projects, and small scale projects. And also a few years back, since a few years back, they have small and micro industries. Micro industries also considered as the industrial policy keep on changing from year to year. What happens is, they include many sectors, they change the scales, right? They incorporate more scales, so that the projects will be classified. For example, large scale projects, any project as of now, maybe any projects which involves more than 100 crore, okay, more than 100 crore, those are considered as a large scale projects. So this is this definition of the large scale, it keeps on changing as we different industrial policies come by different governments. The scale might change. So now I guess around 100, any investment which is more than 100 crores, 100 or more, is considered as a large scale. Similarly, medium scale projects around 10 crores, and small scale projects around 5 crores. So these things will keep on changing, and I think micro industries up to 1 crore, those are considered as a micro industries. So based on what is the investment size, whether it's 100 crore or whether it is a 10 crore or 1 crore, the projects are classified as a large scale, medium scale, and the small scale projects. So this is the different type of a classification for selecting a particular project. So now we know, we get the idea. From those few ideas, we will consider what can be considered as a project. So we shortlist out of let us say 5 to 10 projects you have shortlisted. How you will do the selection final is, once you have identified the projects, from identification how you will select. So there are two steps for selecting the final project. First one is the project identification. So you will come up with from these ideas, you will come up with let us say 5 to 10 projects, and then out of those 5 to 10 projects, you will finalize on one project. That is a project selection. There are two stages or two steps in project selection, final project selection. First one is the project identification, and then project selection. So, what is involved in the project identification? So, often intending entrepreneur always are in a search for a project having a good market. So, entrepreneur who want to set up their enterprise, they are always looking out for the some kind of a projects which will get them a good market. Okay, but how, without knowing the product code, they determine market, whose market they find out without knowing the item, that is the product. So it is like they are in search of a good market, but without having a product. So without knowing the product, it's very difficult to know the market. It is like they are interdependent. So how to solve this interdependencies? Idea generation about few projects provides a way to come out of the about angle. So whatever the dilemma here, interdependency we have, uh, idea generation about some project, few projects that will come out of this particular dilemma. The process of project selection starts with the idea generation. So always we know the when we start the project selection, the first step is the idea. We need some kind of a idea. So based on that idea generation, further steps will go. The primary thing that is required is the idea. What needs to be done? A general idea about a certain service or product or anything. So there should be idea. In order to select most promising and profitable project, the entrepreneur has to generate large number of ideas. So whether if we generate one idea, is that sufficient? It may not be, right? We don't know one particular idea will work or not. So the entrepreneur has to he has to think, he has to generate a lot of ideas. Like the number of ideas he comes up with should be fairly large. So if the number of ideas are fairly large, the success rate will be high. Suppose if this particular idea has some problem or some limitation, the other idea maybe will overcome that particular limitation. So out of this buckets of ideas, we can select many about possible projects he can take. One second. Okay. So ideas should be about the possible projects he can take. So definitely whatever the idea he is going to get, it should be about the possible projects he is planning to do. The project ideas can be discovered from various internal, external sources. We talked about this. What are the way we can generate ideas? So it could be an some kind of a internal sources. If you are in certain organization, there could be like internal resources that are available, and from there you will get the ideas, or it is external resources. So sources can be anywhere, either internal or external. So ideas can be generated from these two different sources. These may include knowledge of potential customer needs. So one of the area is like knowledge of a potential customer needs. So if you understand the needs of the customer, okay, that itself can bring out some kind of a products. Now customer needs at the present situation, anything related to the sanitation, right? That everybody knows, like that is a need of the customer as of today. Any projects, any ideas related to sanitation will be definitely a good product. For example, we saw many range of products where they did the sanitizing machine which sanitize the money, because money will be the hard cash will be transacted with the customers. Sanitation of the notes or the cash, then sanitation of the clothes, right? There were some products, then hand sanitizer, dispensing the hand sanitizer. So these are the as per the need. So tomorrow's need would be different. If there is a need for the a need in the education sector, then entrepreneurs will have some kind of idea in that sector. They will come up with a new courses, right? So based on the customer needs, or having the knowledge about what customer is required, then we can come up with some kind of ideas. Then personal observation of emerging trends in demand for certain products. So this is like this is personal observation. You feel is going to be a emerging trends and demand in certain kind of a products. For example, in case of a IT sector, currently we are seeing the trend is like there is a lot of projects that will be carried out in the area of the data science, machine learning, artificial intelligence. So that is the trend. If you see that particular trend, then maybe you will get some ideas to get into that kind of a sector, or that kind of a domain. Or it could be like anything manufacturing. Let us say there is a need for like a high speed train, right? India is moving towards that, where we see like there is a lot of investment that is happening in that particular sector. Maybe a certain entrepreneur can think about coming up with a high speed train. Another example is emerging trends is the electrical vehicle, right? Now we know that the current whatever the current automobile industry, that is, it works on the fuel based on the petrol or the diesel, and we know those sources are going to deplete in and also there are environmental issues with those. To solve those, there is a trend going in the towards the electrical vehicle. It started long back. I'm not saying it has started now. So it has started long back. You can see a lot of entrepreneurs that are coming in this area, making electric cars, electric two-wheelers, right? And whatever is the limitation of electric car, they are trying to solve it. The charge. So one of the problem is charging the particular vehicle, right? It should not take like 1 hour or 2 hours, and after the charging, it should have a long run. So those are the challenges. They are continuously working on that. So these are the based on emerging trends and based on the future demands, you can think of the ideas. So that is how ideas will come. Scope for producing substitute product. So substitute product is when you are not able to have certain kind of a product, we have to come up with a substitute product. So substitute product, when substitute product comes, it will have the same functionality as the earlier product. If the earlier product had some limitations, it will overcome those particular limitations. So if there is any scope or any idea in producing a substitute product, the substitute product maybe they will cost less, or maybe due to some advantages you are producing a substitute product. For example, now you must have heard about the generic medicine, right? Generic medicine, they cost relatively less. Okay, and we have every medicine, like every kind of a medicine in case of a generic medicine. So for example, for BP, there is a tablet which is not generic, which is branded. Maybe it will cost 10 rupees, the generic might cost 5 rupees. So that is the substitute product. Then what are the other ways of getting the ideas? Trade and professional magazines, which provide a very fertile source of project ideas. So trade and professional magazines, any kind of a professional magazines, it could be related to particular field, okay, engineering, computer science, or civil engineering, any kind of a professionals magazines, and the trade related magazines. So the those papers or those articles will give insight about what is going on, what is the technology trend, what are the new ideas that are coming in that area. By reading or going through those magazines, we will get more ideas, right? Maybe you read some article on the challenges of electric vehicle, right? Earlier they are working on those challenges. The challenges on the electrical vehicle itself can make a new idea for you, right? Any challenges that are available is a potential for a new idea. Departmental publications of various departments of the government. So these are the department publications. Those are the sources of ideas. Your source of idea could be like, let us say, in certain department publication, they are helping with the capital, let's say 25% capital, and maybe some kind of a subsidies they are providing certain sector. So in that sector, you will try to think and come up with the ideas. Success stories of known entrepreneurs or friends or relatives. So success stories of any entrepreneurs, that is how we this is one inspirational thing for many entrepreneurs. The successful stories, like for example, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Ratan Tata, Narayan Murthy. Those people are the like a inspiration. They will help us to think in particular direction to get new ideas. And other most important factors are the friends, and friends or relatives. They also form as a source of some kind of a new idea. New product introduced by the competitor. So competitor has introduced a new product in the industry. That new product will give some kind of a idea to come up with some other new product. Ideas given by the knowledgeable persons. So some people they want to help the entrepreneurs. They constantly come up with a lot of ideas. They share those ideas. Normally, the people who are working in the research and development, R&D, the scientists, they are willing to give the new ideas to the society, to the entrepreneurs, so that some new enterprise can be set up on those ideas basis. All these sources putting together may give few ideas about the possible projects to be examined, among which the project must be selected. So now we have all these sources. Putting together all these sources, we have like possible projects we will get. let us say 10 to 20 possible projects we have in mind, and this will lead us to the project selection stage. After going through the sources, if an entrepreneur has been able to get 6 project ideas, one project idea will be finally selected going through the following process. So now the question is like, we have finalized 6 projects, and out of these 6 projects, how we should finalize the project what we want. So for the selection processes, there are certain guidelines. These are just the guidelines which will give a kind of a framework for the entrepreneur, how you can, how a particular entrepreneur can finalize one project. It purely depends on the how entrepreneur thinks about his selection criteria. This is a general guideline. Project selection starts once the entrepreneur has the generated few ideas of projects, right? That is the first stage. The project selection stage starts when he has generated a few ideas. After having some ideas, these project ideas are analyzed in light of existing economic condition, market condition, government policy, and so on. The first thing is, once you have the idea, right? You have like 5 6 ideas. First, you will evaluate those idea basis on the present economic conditions. With the current economic condition, whether those ideas are viable or not. With current market conditions, whether those particular ideas are viable or not. Considering the government policies in that particular ideas, whether it is viable or not. So you have to think from all these different angles. Okay, considering all those different angles, you have to evaluate each of these ideas, and you have to note down uh, uh, which particular idea scores well in different criteria. For the purpose, a tool is generated used what is called as a SWOT analysis. So this is a SWOT analysis. Already I talked about this. A SWOT analysis can be used as a tool for solving many kind of a problem, from including personal problem to the organizational problems. So what is a SWOT? Strength, weakness, opportunity, and threats. So you have to take those 5 or 6 idea which you have, and you have to analyze. You have to take each and individual idea. You have to put through the SWOT. So what are the strength? Okay, for this particular idea, what are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? What are the opportunities? And what are the threats? So when you identify these different areas, different quadrants. So these are the 4 quadrants. So strength, weakness, opportunity, threats. It will give you a better idea how, whether this is possible, or if it is possible, what are the threats. So I told you strength is a one which makes the success rate very high, right? Suppose that particular idea you have, whatever the things you list down on the strengths, maybe you are technically sound in that particular area. Let us say, for example, for your case, you are selecting a particular project, particular idea which is in the area of the computer science and engineering. The first strength is you are technically skilled, right? So these are the points that will make that particular idea more successful. Weaknesses. Weaknesses are the things that should be improved, so that the weaknesses will, definitely it will hinder your success. So you have to convert these weaknesses into the a strength. Maybe let us say you are not technically knowledgeable, so technical training. So you, if you are not knowledgeable about that particular weakness, in the weakness quadrant, technical knowledge will go there. So when technical knowledge is your weakness, then taking proper training, you should move that weakness into the strength area. So weaknesses are the possible causes that can cause a hindrance for your success. And what are the opportunities? Opportunities are the ones which you can exploit, and you can take your project towards the success, right? You have to always exploit the opportunities. You have to use the existing opportunities and change according to the opportunities, and make highest use of those opportunities. And what are the threats? Threats are the one which will make your project to fail, right? Those are the threats. So competition, or government policies, you have to list down what are the things. Let us say the one of the threat is a high taxation in particular, whatever the sector you have chosen, the tax rates are very high, so that is definitely a threat. Or there is raw material, a dependency of raw material, right? The project is very profitable and very good project, but the raw material, maybe you are exporting it, or the raw material, getting raw material is difficult, then that goes in the threat. So for each and everything, you have to, for all your ideas, you have to do the SWOT analysis, and you have to list down. That will give a clear idea which projects will score better. Okay. The intending entrepreneur analyzes his strengths and weaknesses, as well as the opportunities and the competitive advantages and threats or challenges offered by each of the project ideas. So that analysis has to be performed on those, all those ideas. And this is one of the additional thing you are doing, apart from you are checking the economic condition, market condition, government policies. So apart from that, you have to do the SWOT analysis. In addition, the entrepreneur need to analyze other related aspects also, like a raw material, right? One of the most important thing is the raw material. Raw material should be available in abundant, and it should be available very easily. That is the most important for any kind of a project. Potential market. So what kind of a market that is available, and labor. Suppose if you are taking up a project, and there is a labor problem in that particular sector. For suppose example, now the people are hesitant to go into agriculture because there is a lack of labor. So labor becomes the biggest challenge. We have to make sure that we have appropriate number of labor for that particular project idea. Capital requirement, we have to think about the how much capital is required, and how many sources you have, or how much capital you can bring in. That is very important. Every different idea will have different capital requirement. Some as we already seen the classification, right? Some projects or the some ideas may be capital intensive, some ideas may be labor intensive, right? So you have to look into that aspect. Location, where you are setting up your particular enterprise, that location is also important. When you say about the location, it is with respect to the raw material, or it with respect to the labor. For example, location, if location is very close to the raw material, that is very beneficial for the organization. At the same time, if that location is remote, you have to think about the labor, how labor will come there. Okay. So you have to think about all those things when you are setting up the uh, when you are selecting a particular area. Location is important thing. And forms of ownership, what kind of a ownership you want to have. You want to have a sole ownership, or a partnership, or a private limited company, public limited company. Those things should be thought about. Each of these aspects has to be evaluated independently and in relation to each of these aspects. So what we have to do, whatever the aspects we talked about now, they should be evaluated independently. For example, we talked about this different raw material. Raw material should be evaluated with respect to the that particular raw material availability, and also you should think about the interdependency, how this particular raw material availability will have an impact on location, will have an impact on labor, will have an impact on the capital, will have an impact on other factors. So that is what should be thought. So evaluated independently, each of these aspects should be evaluated independently, as well as in relation with each other. We have to evaluate these forms continuous back and forth process as shown in figure 8.1. So all these aspects, so this is the figure, all these aspects are interdependent and they are continuously dependent. This is the diagram which shows like we have to think about what kind of a product, raw material, the market, labor, total investment, working capital, location, ownership, right? The total investment is definitely, it is we have to think about the total investment itself independently, this aspect as independently, whether it is worth it, the kind of a returns we are going to get on the investment. That total investment has to be analyzed independently. Also it has to be analyzed in relation with all these other aspects, whichever there is a relation. For example, total investment, definitely it has a relationship of ownership. If the requirement of the capital is high, maybe you have to think about what kind of a ownership you want to have, whether it is possible to have just this kind of a investment, but sole ownership is not possible, then it will have impact on this. Then you have to go for the partnership, or you have to go for the some kind of a different location. And working capital, it depends on the location. And labor, okay, labor also depends on the location, right? Whether that particular location has abundant labor or not. For example, I gave like if any IT industry, if it is set up in Bangalore, okay, investment would be high, but the skilled labor that you get is abundant. If you set up in a city, let us say like tier 2 cities, the investment would be less, but the kind of resources you are looking for, you may not get at those locations. Those are the interdependencies that has to be taken care. On the basis of this analysis, most suitable idea is finally selected, okay, finally selected to convert into to the enterprise. So based on the all this analysis, and whichever you find is the most suitable, which has more benefit, which will bring in more profits, you have to convert that particular idea into an enterprise. Means you will select that particular idea and you will convert it into a enterprise. The process involved in selecting a project out of few projects is also termed as zeroing in process. So zero in means what? We tell that zero in on one. That means what? This whole process, out of these many projects, we are finally coming and doing this all the analysis. And as the after doing the analysis, we will come to know which is the most beneficial project, and we will select that. That is called as a zeroing in process. There is a time interval involved between the project identification and project selection. So definitely, when you identify certain projects, and from these certain projects, you have to finally select one. So there is a definitely a time interval, and this time interval, why we have this time interval? It requires for the analysis. We have to do the analysis on these different ideas. We have to gather the data. Let us say like we need to have market data, market share, market demand. So those are the data we have to acquire from reliable sources for our analysis purpose. So there would be it can take a few months of time, right? A few days to few months, anywhere it will range. Some cases it may be few months, in others it may be few minutes. So it depends on what your ideas. Meaning and significance of project report. Okay, now you are done with the project identification, okay, where you had ideas like 10 15 ideas, and out of which you thought like 10 can be converted as a project. That is a project identification. And out of this 10 project, then you will do the project selection. And for doing the project selection, you will do the analysis, SWOT analysis, checking the market condition, economic condition, all aspects, okay. What is the total investment, labor requirement, raw material. Once you done with the final analysis, then you are finally you will be selecting one project. Once you have selected one project, then comes the project report. You have to make the project report. Project report is a most important document that entrepreneur will generate. The project report will tell about what entrepreneur is thinking, okay, what he wants to do, how he wants to set up. All those things are included in the project report. So in the next class we will see the meaning and significance of the project report.